KK the other night. She's now partying. Like she's going out at night on weekends and going to parties. And so I just tossed the question out there and said, so like, was it like a kegger? Did they have beer? Or she goes, I mean, there's people drinking White Claws. I said, cool. Which one's your favorite flavor? And she goes, well, I didn't have any because I was driving. I was like, praise Jesus. And she said it very naturally.
That's funny. So she didn't rehearse that at all. If you say it enough times,
crush my drink.
If you say it enough times, you can convince yourself of anything. So she's been practicing. I'm very happy that she's a good scripter. Maybe we should hire her. I'm Josh Sigman.
And I'm Bryn Rouse.
I'm a mortgage guy with a passion for helping people with their money and all things business. Bryn is my co-host.
And I'm a marketing girl. I am literally obsessed with it. Oh, and Josh has showed me how to save money. Quite a bit, actually.
Because of her obsession, I hired her to do my marketing.
And we've worked together for 10 years.
We launched Sigman Sense in 2020, a podcast about money. It's a podcast that teaches people how to save more, give more, create wealth, and retire early.
And we recorded and published 34 episodes. People liked it, and it was so fun.
But most importantly, we helped people. So we're excited to announce we're doing a second season. And we're mixing things up. We're moving away from money talks to focus on all things business: leadership, management, team building, book reviews, hiring, firing, operations,
motivating teams, lead generation, time management, personality profiling, closing skills,
and of course, money
and marketing.
We are inviting you to continue this journey with us, and we want your input. What topics would you like to see covered? Email all of your ideas to our podcast email address, sigmansense@gmail.com.
And be sure to click that subscribe button when you visit our channels. You'll get notified when we drop new episodes.
Are you ready? Season 2, Getting Down to Business. Welcome to Sigman Sense. Welcome back to Sigman Sense. We are moving on with our discussion of you're building a business. And one of the most frequently asked questions is, when should I hire? What should I do?
Right.
You know, what's
Who
the first
should
hire?
It be? How
what's
can
that
I
first hire
afford
look like?
it?
Yeah, how do I afford it and all that fun stuff? And you know, it's a very critical question. Yes, there are plenty of, we'll call it moderately successful businesses that are do-it-yourself, out of your, out of your house. You can make a living as an Uber driver. Let's just call it that, right? So your little business is driving around your car and managing your expenses and making money, right? Mm-hmm. You could make bracelets in your house and send them out, and people will buy all sorts of weird shit on the internet. So there's plenty, seriously, there's plenty of ways to make money, but there always, there is. We're not talking about the oldest profession. I don't want you to get.
About that either.
See, that was funny. Just make sure you know. I understand.
That there is.
You do know what the oldest profession is, too.
I'm assuming hooking.
Absolutely.
It's the oldest profession.
It's the oldest profession in the world.
Really?
Yep.
Someone fact check that, please. Cannon.
Feel free. It's the oldest. Feel free. It's the oldest profession in the world. So, anyways. My point is that there becomes a critical time where you have to decide, are you going to do this alone and hoof it, or are you actually going to grow a business? And the only way to do it without dying of working too many hours is through other people, through leverage, right?
Leverage.
So you have a finite number of hours in the day, and as you grow a business, whether it's in marketing and finance and operations and sales, there's always an issue that requires more time. At some point when you grow your business, there's no more time left to give. And this is where you have to outsource, okay? So what we want to talk about for the next 30 minutes are a couple of tips on when to hire, who to hire, how to structure, what are some mistakes or mishires early on, kind of going through, I'll be honest with you, primarily missteps that I had doing this very early on, personality differences that need to be addressed, what do you hire for and what do you fire over? All those different elements that can be considered earlier, and you'll have a better outcome sooner by learning from other mistakes like mine. Okay.
So so you've told me, a great place to start is when you feel like you are out of time, or when you feel like you're at capacity, whatever that is, and when you're doing things that you don't want to do anymore, making a list of all of the things that you either don't have time for or don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that
list specifically comes from literally tracking what you do all day, every day on the half hour. So what I did for my first hire, because you're remembering this very well, is I literally, get to work at 7 o'clock, 7 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8 o'clock. What was I actually doing for those periods of time? And I did that for, I think, 3 weeks. It was what my assignment was. I think it was 3 weeks because I was being coached.
I was going to say,
and
big takeaway.
Yeah, and so what I took from that then is I took a highlighter and I literally went through and I highlighted what you said. Anything I didn't like to do, didn't have to do, or wasn't in the dollar per hour range I wanted to be at. There's lots of things that need to be done, but don't need to be done by the boss, the owner, right?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that those things aren't important or that the boss is above them. That is not what it means. Like,
that is not what it means.
One of my ways I introduce myself to a lot of people is, hey, I'm the head janitor, because I will pick up trash next to anyone. Like, that's 100%. My truth.
100%.
But as a dollar per, like when you measure a business, and the number one job of a business is to make a profit, then you must spend more time in dollar productive activities. So what I want you to think is, as a basic guideline, what are the green hours of the day and what are the red hours of the day? A green hour is any dollar productive activity hour. So in sales, as an example, so I'll just use my business because it's easy for people to grasp. So I'm a loan officer. Okay. So in sales, the dollar productive activities are chatting with a new lead, chatting with a pre-qualification, chatting with a contract, chatting with a potential referring partner, chatting with an existing referring partner, and that's it. Now, there are things like you have to review docs, you have to pull credit, you have to make sure docs get to title in time, you have to fix problems with an underwriter, you have to return calls from leads from 6, 12, 18, and 24 months ago.
Right.
That you've got to market, you've got to meet people for lunch, you've got all these things that need to be done.
Oh my gosh.
But those are red hours. So let's just use real estate as an example. Anyone that's bought a house knows what the MLS is. And so a realtor, when you call them and you say, hey, I want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for $400,000 in this neighborhood, they're putting those requests into MLS, multiple listing service. And then there's a drip campaign of any new house that comes to the market in that price range, in that area, with those kind of parameters, is being dripped on. Well, it's a $10 an hour activity to put that in the MLS. Right. For a realtor to actually input what you're looking for to create a drip campaign of here's everything coming in the market, should be done, needs to be done. You want that to be done, but it's a $10 an hour activity. So that is not showing a client a house. That is not writing a contract. That is not a dollar productive activity. And so the basic starting point for when to hire is when non-dollar productive activities, red time activities, prevent you from doing additional green time.
Okay, so if say that again for the people in the back.
Yeah, for the people in the back. Once you hit a critical point where the hours that you are able to work, whether that's because of family restrictions or you're just fucking exhausted.
Tired.
When you are at a capacity where the amount of red time activities supersede or prevent you or slow down what you should be doing with green time, that is an absolute indicator that you need to be hiring. Because in theory, what I did with my first hire is, I went through this and literally I would think it was like 70% of my working week was red time. Wow. I was busy. I was doing work. I was working busy. 80 hours a week.
That's the thing.
And that's what people don't get.
Yeah.
I was
busy.
But I wasn't busy doing what my job
thing,
is. Yeah. My job is to make it rain, it's a relationship building. It's to help people with their loan, not to review docs.
Isn't it interesting how quickly though you get that flip-flopped? Like for some reason, I feel like maybe because it's easier. I don't know if that's even right to say.
I think there's some emotional there. Yeah, no one can do as good as me.
Like it's easy how all of a sudden, like better than anyone that these dollar productive activities and their value, but it's easy to get to turn that on its head and say, no, I need to be the one reviewing. No, I need to be the one signing this, doing that. Like, and I think it's a trap we all fall into.
I think early on it is for sure. And this is going back to, I think an episode or two ago, we talked about what my definition of mastery is. Like the first step is you got to learn it. Second thing is you got to do it. But mastery is when you can teach it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hire people, it's my assumption that everyone can do things at least 80% as good as me. If they can, they're hired.
80%.
That's it. Not perfect.
80%.
If I get two people that are both 80% as good as me, they're still outproducing me in what their workload is and what they can do, right?
Yes. I hope everybody heard that. Like
it's
80% times 2.
Yeah, it's 160. Like
Yeah.
that's still 60% more shit that's getting done than I could do by myself. And so, and that's not to say that people are only 80% as good as me. I hire people
that are
way
good.
better in some cases. Like there's a few people on my team that, like, I'll just give you, like, you are way, 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 way better at marketing than I will ever be.
Oh,
or hope to be, right? Crystal's way better at operations than I will ever be.
Yeah.
She can fix problems in her sleep.
Yeah.
So the assumption has to be that you can find somebody or train them to be better than you, and they're going to love doing the stuff that you hate. This goes back to one of the things we talked about, which is personalities, right?
Totally.
A lot of mistakes early on for me and for a lot of people is they hire people like them. So they'll hire if they're a C personality, like overthinker and analytical person, they're attracted to other people that are analytical. Well, that means like who's selling shit?
We can beat that shit out of this problem together.
But we need problems to have, so we need a salesperson,
That's
right? And the flip side is maybe you are the dreamer salesperson, influencer, but somebody needs to keep you out of jail.
Yeah.
And so don't hire another person like you. Like hire somebody that's the opposite, that's going to watch your back and do the details and do the compliance or whatever else needs to be done. Fulfill the order. Keep your promises.
What I do love is that...
And they love doing it, by the way.
And they love doing it. But what I love is that, it's the learn how to do it, then do it, and then teach it. I love nothing more than... that you can still jump back in and fix a problem when it's needed. I love nothing more that I can jump back in and do things, to help in an area.
That's why you're never handicapped when somebody quits, gets fired, or dies, because you can do it.
Right. I mean, it's just, and I think that that's admirable, one, and I think it is a quality of a good leader, right? When the team can see you jump back in and fix a file, make the call. Tell them how to, tell them how it's done. Have them watch you fix. Like, I think that's just super cool.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So, first step is highlight, red light, green light, right? Red time, dollar productive activities, green time, dollar productive, red time, preventing you from making money, red light, right? In this exercise, by the way, one thing you should do is figure out what your hourly rate is. Which is literally just what your income was for the last 12 months divided by 2,040 hours, which is the number of hours in a year. If you work
2,040 hours.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, it's not the total. It's the 40-hour work week times 52 weeks, right? Is that good math? 2,040. That's right.
You're reminding me of Weston right now.
Sorry, it's my eyes crossed and I'm doing my calculator thing. So, anyways, I digress. So my point though is that when you understand your hourly rate, then when you look at your calendar and you say, "This is my hourly rate," and is this activity something I would pay somebody this rate for?
Right.
If the answer is yes, then pay them to do that because you can do other higher dollar productive activities.
Totally.
So the other 3 bullet points I would give, and I'd love your take on what needs to be done or what the missteps are, is when you're doing that new hire, really you've got to have a top 3 really clear top job duties with metrics. So one of the unfortunate truths of the first hire is they become the person that grabs all this shit.
The poor first hire.
They get poured on anything, whatever, whenever. And there are a couple bubbling, great employees that can handle that.
Yeah.
The vast majority, you're setting them up for failure.
Totally.
So what I always refer to this as is the slash job duties.
Ugh.
You are my secretary slash my marketing rep slash my past client appreciation party planner slash my my homework doer or slash my organizer slash my calendar manager slash. That will end very badly. Whew. So the top 3 job duties then is derived specifically from when you look at your calendar and you're doing all this red time. What are the top 3 things that, if done by somebody else, frees up the most time? Or gets you out of doing the stuff that you're not best suited to do. Yeah. Right? So the top 3 job duties are one thing, but the next step is it must have a metric to it as well.
The metrics, yes.
So I want you to do blank means nothing. I want you to do blank within X number of hours means something.
Yeah.
I want you to help our clients means nothing. I want you to get a 98% or better on surveys means something, right?
For sure.
So when we're hiring somebody, if we're really clear with our words of what the job is and how you're measured by it, then they can internalize, am I really set up to do this job well? Do I think I can do this? Because no one's going to take a job that they think they're going to fail at.
Here's what I see most, though. Here's what I see most with, just so often. What do you, when you ask the question, what do you think you're interviewing for?
That's really interesting. They have no idea.
They have no freaking clue, which means that we're working out of a desperation environment. We need someone and they really need a job.
Yep.
So I don't give a shit what it is. I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And that's, we were off to a really rocky start from the very beginning.
Yep.
And so, anyways.
I think that's very well said. It really goes back to that.
What do you think you're applying for?
And then the last piece of it is the culture fit, which goes back to understanding your core values. Like really, I can't say this enough on enough episodes, but we, and I believe everyone should hire and fire based on their core values. So if you took the time up front in your business to understand who are we, what are we about, which could be just you by yourself. Yeah. Like these, what I always say is if you don't know what your core values are, then you just decide what are your non-negotiables, because all of us can put up with a lot of bullshit from people, from our spouses, from our kids, from as long as they don't hit the non-negotiable button, then you're going to be okay. Agreed. So where this comes into play in the hiring process is telling people up front how you're going to get fired.
I love this.
Right? Just tell people, not just, here's the top 3 job duties and the metrics you think you're going to be good at. Yes. Okay, cool. Let me tell you what my non-negotiables are and what will get you fired. Because I always find that if you know how you'll get fired, you're not going to take the job if you think you're going to do that, or you're just going to avoid those landmines. Either way, we win.
Clarity. Like, that's just fair. Yep. That is just fair. And
here's how to win. Here's how you're going to lose.
Yes. Yes. And I guarantee that most people listening have probably never told somebody, hey, you want to know exactly how you're going to get your ass fired?
Yep.
I mean, and what a fair question.
Yeah.
What a fair question.
I don't really believe in this, but it's an interesting concept. There's something new, relatively new, that's called a contract marriage. Have you heard of this before? So you can Google it. It's pretty interesting, but it's happening more and more where people literally get married with a contract. This is my expectations of you. This is your expectations of me.
Oh my gosh.
They literally do it. They re-up it for a year, every year.
Oh my gosh.
And this is what it is to be married to me. And so as long as you do these things, we're married. As long as I do these things.
So it's like in conjunction with your prenup?
Right.
Man.
Listen, I didn't say I agree with it, but what I do believe is that employee-employer relationships are a marriage without love.
Totally.
Now, I love to bring love into it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the essence, the basic relationship of a business partnership or an employee-employer relationship, it is a marriage without love.
Yeah.
And how many times, I hate to say it for everybody that's listening that's married for any length of time, that you've thought to yourself, if I didn't have kids, if I didn't love them, if I didn't love you, I would be fucking gone.
Bye.
It's true in a lot of relationships. And so if you remove that glue, then what's left? And I really think that setting those clear expectations up front of this is how you win with me, this is how you lose with me, this is how we're going to measure that, that's really important, that first hire. Now, that's in the interview process, but that doesn't equate into how to make sure they're successful. So I think the number 3 job duty of a leader is to remove obstacles. Yeah. So like how to make you successful. And you alluded to it already. This is training. One of the things that is best about a small business is the ability to train a lot, like to be attached at the hip, right? Like our relationship in business started with literally the first year we did everything together. Yeah. Every sales call, every time, all the time in the office, you listening on my loan apps, listen to me make sales calls. Yeah. You listen to it, you watch it, and it was a 6 months of watch me do it, 3 months of We're going to do it together. You're going to lead it. But if you get in trouble, just hand it off to me.
Yeah.
And then 3 months of, I'm going to watch you. If it's a win, great. If you crash and burn, I'm going to let you crash and burn. And on the drive out, I'll tell you what I observed.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
But that 1 year, a little bit over actually, of on the job, side-by-side training is not possible when you've got 50 people or 100 people in a company. So one of the advantages of that small team, that first hire, that second hire, the third hire, is you can really pour into and grow people very rapidly.
Yeah.
As long as you're commonly yoked, as long as your core values are aligned, as long as you're clear about what the wins look like and what the losses are, you can really have some exponential opportunity there.
Yeah.
What else do you have to add around that?
Well, I think that's a great place to stop. I do think there's a lot more to expand upon on this topic, to be quite honest. I think and I think it's another episode, to be clear. I think it's
compensation has to be addressed.
Yeah, compensation. And how do you how do you interview? Interview
process, compensation. Let's make it a couple parts.
Yeah, because it's the most important thing, right? To find good people and to maintain good people
and to keep them.
Yes.
And to grow them.
Yep. So I think that's a great starting point for our hiring series. So I think we wrap it up there. And
we'll ask questions, send comments. Since we're going to do a couple episodes about this. So if you want us to cover anything specifically, please let us know.
For sure.
Where can you email us?
Yep. Email us at sigmansense@gmail.com. Don't know where my camera went. And you can find us on all the social platforms, as well as iTunes and Spotify and Audible. I don't know if you've heard, but Audible is definitely hosting our podcast, which is great. And it's a great episode.
And like, subscribe, and share. If you know anyone that's thinking about building, starting a business, hiring, please share these episodes with them. And we're here to help.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time on Sigman Sense, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.